Himanshu, can you please go on mute?
Yeah,
Yeah, can you please go on mute? Thank you.
புரியல.
Mute. Mute button இருக்கும். Background. Okay, thank you. Hello everyone, I'm Pooja Iyer. Namaskarams to all from myself and IFA family. I welcome each and every one of you for joining one more exciting episode of Virtual Vibes. This is our fourth Virtual Vibes event, and it is special as we are nearing the end of the year. And we are proud that Indian Finance Academy has continued to entertain our audience in the best way possible during these challenging times. We began Virtual Vibes this year to bring in and encourage young and upcoming talent from in and around the DFW Metroplex to showcase their art and expressions. And at the same time, share their time and knowledge with the broader community and to inspire young next talent pool. Virtual Vibes has been a platform for classical music and dance through the pandemic and has been a great success. And thanks all of you for that. Today, following the birthday month of Mahakavi Subramania Bharatiar, we are honored to dedicate this event to his memory. We are all aware of the massive contributions of Mahakavi Bhartiyar to the social reform and independent movement of India, as well as his compositions that has made Tamil accessible to the common man. His songs on Goddess Ambal, as well as his patriotic compositions, have been revered with numerous luminaries as the legendary MS Subbalakshmi Amma, Srimati D.K. Patamal, amongst others. Today, we have two young, enthusiastic, and talented panelists interact with a very special guest and a repository of knowledge of the legendary poet and reformer. A brief introduction of our panelists. Abhishek Ramani. Abhishek Ramani was brought up and born in Koppal area and is currently a financial analyst by profession working in Dallas. He graduated with a dual degree in finance and accounting from UT Dallas and is currently pursuing his master's degree in data scientist from Texas and at A&M University. While music runs in his family, he got his initial Carnatic music training from Srimati Radha Suri. Later, he became under the able tutelage of Vidwan Sri T.S. Krishnamurthy from Bangalore. He trained him rigorously, and Abhishek is currently learning from Dr. Venkatraman and enjoys performing when time permits. Abhishek is very much interested in all kinds of sports and is glued to the TV on Sundays watching football. Archana Murthy is a junior biology major at TNM University. She has been learning Bharatnatyam since she was 6 from Srimati Vani Ishwara and is learning Carnatic music from Srimati Shanti Mahadevan. In her free time, she likes to write, paint, and tell funny stories. She's very interested to be part of the panel, and so are we. Let us give a huge virtual Texas size applause to all our panelists and our esteemed guest. More about our guest from our panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja for that wonderful introduction. Namaskaram, everybody. My name is Archana.
Namaskaram, everyone. My name is Abhishek.
And we are very excited to be your hosts today. Today's topic will be focusing on the legacy of Mahakavi Subramania Bharatiyar, who is a pioneer of modern Tamil poetry. Bharatiyar was born on December 11th, 1882, so the birth anniversary is coming up pretty soon, in the village of Ettayapuram. Besides being an independence activist, he was a social reformer who sought to bring out changes in Indian society through his inspirational poems and songs. These poems and songs range from the fiercely patriotic to the deeply romantic, from a devotional mood to severe criticism of social evils like the caste system and the oppression of women in society. He received a lot of inspiration from Sister Nivedita, who is a disciple of Swami Vivekananda, and from the other freedom fighters of his time. He composed very famous songs like Tirada Vilayata Pillai, Chinnanchirikiliye, Manattil Urutti Vendum, and many more. Now we are very excited to introduce our special chief guest, Sri RajKumar Bharati, the great-grandson of Mahakavi Subramania Bharatiyar.
Sri RajKumar Bharati is a classical singer and a music composer from India. As mentioned before, he is the great-grandson of the Renaissance poet Mahakavi Subramania Bharatiyar. We are very honored to have him here today to tell us about Mahakavi Subramania Bharatiyar and any special stories that he would like to share today. We are also honored to have him, and he needs very little introduction as he is very known in this Dallas crowd. As he's very well known also for his renowned performances around the globe. He's also known for his composing abilities, especially in composing for dance. He has composed for very eminent artists such as Srimati Priyadarshini Govind, Srimati Savita Shastri, Srimati Leela Samson, and Sri Shijit Nambiar. Welcome, sir, and thank you so much for being here. I would like to also mention we are streaming this live on Facebook, and we would love for the audience to ask any questions in the comment section, and we will definitely ask Rajkumar. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, thank you so much, sir. So I'm pretty sure all of us have heard the famous saying, "The pen is mightier than the sword." Well, Bharatiyar was the exact same. He was pretty much the definition of that saying. As many of us know, he wrote popular patriotic poems during the independence freedom fighting time. One of the most popular ones that I've heard my grandparents recite is Achamille, Achamille, Achamyanbade illeye. When translated, Bharatiyar is saying, I have no fear over anything. And even if the world is against me, I have no fear. And he goes on by giving different examples throughout the poem. For example, he mentions, if everyone hates me, or if I have to beg for my living, I still have no fear. So, Archana, quick question for you. As we were born in this country and went to schooling here, does anyone come to mind, like in American history, that you can think of when we talk about the pen is mightier than the sword?
Yeah, there's many. If I'm thinking Civil War era, there's Frederick Douglass, and he wrote for abolition movements, and he was like one of the main people that got the work done. And if I'm thinking Revolutionary War era, everyone knows about Alexander Hamilton now. He wrote this famous set of essays that basically structured how America was supposed to be structured, and that structure is still enduring today, the governmental structure. And funnily enough, someone wrote a musical about Alexander Hamilton. So it's literature about someone who is famous for literature, which is making him famous again. So yeah, there's lots of examples.
Yeah, exactly. And we're all very proud and patriotic of our country, whether we're from America or born in America or from India. However, the majority of us probably will never, I can guarantee for myself, I'll probably never write a poem about that. But Bharatiyar went above and beyond that. So Rajkumar sir, how was Bharatiyar so into patriotism, and how did that like passion come about for him?
He was a poet by birth, actually. Even as he was as 5 or 6 years old, scenic places, right? In his hometown, he would prefer not to go to school. He would rather go to scenic places, look at the mountains, look at the waterfalls, look at the sky, look at the birds. He was naturally inspired to look at all those things. And I think it was in him, the ability to write. And instead of going to the school or after school hours, without the knowledge of his father, Chinnasamy Iyer, because Chinnasamy Iyer was a very strict father. He was also employed in the court of Tepuram Samasthanam. He was very particular that his son should take to studies and do it big in education. But Bharati, what he used to do was, after school, he used to go to the Tepuram court and mingle with the court poets there, and even learned from some of the senior people there. And he used to write and show the poems that he had written, much to the astonishment of the people who were there, all the court poets, no, because he was just 8, 9 years old. And then one day, the Maharaja, the king, he was also so taken aback by the ability of the kid to write such beautiful poetry, full of taste, full of grammar and everything. One day he told his father, "Your son is terribly gifted, abundantly gifted as a poet." Chinnasamy Iyer didn't take it in the right way. He thought this fellow has misbehaved, done some mischief. And so the king is not, the Raja is not happy. So he said, "No, my lord. He's a young boy, no, he might have done something unknowingly. I'll go and chide him as soon as I go home, I'll chide him." Then the Raja said, No. You need not do any of those things. You do one thing. Next time, there is a small gathering where Bharati is going to narrate his poems to the whole court. You watch, hiding yourself so that your son does not see you. And then he narrated such beautiful poetry. The whole Samasthanam was so excited, and they all gave him the title Bharati. When he was 11 years old, 1893, when he was 11 years old, he was given the title Bharati, which means Saraswati. From then on, it started, it picked up, even though he went to Kashi after that, or after he came back to Tepuram or to Madurai and then took up job in Chennai. This was naturally in him. And once he was in Kashi, his patriotism was, I would say, that way it got fuel, because he looked at the people there and how the customs were there and how India needed people who tried to pull her out of this ignorant slavery. So it got built up, and then when he came and joined Sudeshamitra in 1904 in Chennai, the Subramania, who was the editor, told him to write articles so that he can instill the sense of freedom in the minds of people. But Bharati took it to a stage higher. He started writing articles, he started writing poems that were fiery in nature. It was like just waking the people in slumber. The people of India were in a state of slumber, unaware that they were in slavery, that they were chained. Bharati played a vital role in just pushing them out of their slumber, waking them up, vigorously shaking them up. And such was his skill that it worked, and the people really got motivated. and understood the value of freedom, and they all joined together. That's how he became a freedom poet, actually.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So do you have a specific like a particular patriotic poem that you enjoy that Bharathiyar wrote? And if we would love to hear you like recite that poem if you're willing to.
Yeah, I can. There is a song which you might have heard also as well. எந்தையும் தாயும் மகிழ்ந்து குலாவி இருந்ததும் இந்நாடே. It talks about the greatness of his motherland. It says, my mother, my father lived happily in this land. அதன் முந்தையர் 1000 ஆண்டுகள் வாழ்ந்து முடிந்ததும் இந்நாடே. Their ancestors who lived before them, thousands of years before them, they all lived in this country. அவர் சிந்தையில் 1000 எண்ணம் வளர்ந்து சிறந்ததும் இந்நாடே. All the glorious thoughts, innovative ideas, cultural developments, they're all brought about in this motherland. இதை வந்தனை கூறி மனத்தில் இருத்தி என் வாழ்கிற வாழ்த்தேனோ. Will I not keep this in my mind, embedded, strongly embedded in my mind, and sing the glory of my motherland? இதை வந்தே மாதரம் என்று வாழ்த்தி வணங்கேனோ. வந்தே மாதரம் means obeisance to my mother. Mataram is mother. One day is paying obeisance to the mother. Vande Mataram endu vanangeno. Is a song. It's a very famous song. I used to sing it in 2 lines. எந்தையும் தாயும் மகிழ்ந்து குலாவி இருந்ததும் இந்நாடே. அதன் முந்தையர் 1000 ஆண்டுகள் வாழ்ந்து முடிந்ததும் இந்நாடே. எந்தையும் தாயும் மகிழ்ந்து குலாவி இருந்ததும் இந்நாடே. அவர் சிந்தையில் 1000 எண்ணம் வளர்ந்து சிறந்ததும் இந்நாடே. இதை வந்தனை கூறி மனத்தில் இருத்தி, வந்தனை கூறி மனத்தில் இருத்தி என் வாயுறவாய்த்தேனோ. இதை வந்தே மாதரம் என்று வணங்கேனோ. எந்தையும் தாயும் மகிழ்ந்து குலாவே இருந்ததும் இந்நாடே.
That was very, very beautiful. I'm pretty sure everyone definitely enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So to move on to sort of talk about his political affiliations a little bit. So we've seen throughout history that no matter the cause, there's almost always a divide on how to accomplish the goal, even though it may be a shared goal. So just to give an example from American history, after the Civil War, there was 2 prominent figures. W.E.B. Du Bois promoted that Black people should be intellectually educated and they should go to university. But there was another person, Booker T. Washington, who said that Black people should be farmers and do trade and be very financially well off. And that was how to ensure the freedom of Black people. But that divide kind of divided the nation, even though they had the same shared goal. In this same way, I'm sure during the Indian freedom struggle, there were many different opinions on how to accomplish this shared goal. And I'm sure many people felt that independence was the first goal that needed to happen and all the other societal goals they came secondary. But from my understanding, Bharathiyar wasn't like this. He believed that women's rights and the abolishment of the negative aspects of casteism and all these other societal issues had to be addressed at that moment as well. So did this, how did this affect his like political standings? Were there consequences? Was he considered an extreme person, Rajkumar, sir?
Actually, we can go from this. Bharati, when he wanted to educate the people on getting out of slumber, he identified the key areas where we were down, right? And he immediately identified that the caste system, that the divisions amongst people was one of the reasons why we could not unite together. And therefore, he brought it up in all his poems and used to say, we are all one. Jati Madangale Parom. We have Janmamiddesatil Ejinarayin, Vediyarayinum Mundre, and Verukulathinarayinum Mundre. In that song, Vande Mataram, he says, we will never bother about caste divisions. Jati Madangale Parom. We don't look at those discriminations. The only thing is, where Janma
Bharathiyar, sir, for me, you're breaking up a little bit. Do you think you could repeat that?
I feel like he might have gotten stuck.
Oh, we'll wait for him to come back. We'll just spend a couple minutes. I think the internet in India has to reach all this way, so.
Yeah. But I believe he was referring to a specific poem, I think, whenever, like the Vande Mataram poem. And
yeah, we'll wait for him to rejoin because I think he just dropped accidentally. But from what I gathered from what he was saying, I think he was sort of saying that he was just trying to eliminate division, right? So does that mean that maybe all of those goals to Bharathiyar were kind of part of the same larger goal?
looks like so. Looks like that's what Bharathiyar was trying to say. I mean, he was definitely ahead of his time. I mean, if we think about it, a lot of that stuff that he was talking about back then still goes on today. And when he was like we said earlier, he was born like in 1882, and he was doing all this when writing poems and talking about all these societal things back early in the 1900s, right? So it's pretty amazing how ahead of time he was.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I don't think, like we now consider Bharathiyar this freedom fighter, political figure, but he probably wouldn't have thought of himself like that. He was just a guy that had ideas and that wanted to make a difference,
Yeah, I mean that. I'm pretty sure that's how looks like he has joined us again.
Yes.
Oh, sir. Sorry. It looks like you're on mute right now, sir. It looks like you got cut off in the middle.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Reasons beyond the control. So, Bharati songs were really received very well. In fact, he was welcome for the common man, but for the Britishers, he began to look like an extremist, instigating the people, and they were worried that the people may, after all, understand the value of freedom, and they may follow his songs, and they may rise in revolt. So the Britishers were shaken up actually by all the songs, as he kept on writing articles in the magazine and conducting meetings in the beach and other things, inviting all people, singing songs of freedom. He was considered a threat by the Britishers.
Wasn't he like almost was very afraid he would get arrested, so he moved to Pondicherry. Weren't all his friends getting arrested around that time?
Yeah, yeah. Slowly, uh, it was building up. The pressure was building up, and it was in the offing. They would say, no. They were getting people arrested everywhere, and so the India magazine, which was being run, he was only the unofficial. He was only the editor. He was not the owner of the magazine, right? Therefore, there was a warrant for the arrest of the owner of the magazine. So, but then all the people advised Bharati to go away to Pondi, because Pondi was a safe haven, since most of the people, because it was ruled by the French. Therefore, it would be a safe, relatively place for him, and they thought they could continue his freedom service from being, instead of being arrested here, he can do a better job there. I want to say one point, what Chellamal Bharati has written about Bharati. Chellamal Bharati is Bharati's wife. She has written a book about his life history, where she says, Bharati will tolerate anything. Even if you say, no food for 2 days, only a liquid diet, nothing is available, he wouldn't mind. Even if you say, you have to be here, you have to move in a limited area, he wouldn't mind. But if you say his freedom is deprived, if you say you cannot move out anywhere, that is one thing he can never tolerate. He used to say, how can one man make another man his subordinate? How can one man make another a slave? Too bad. Therefore, fearing that he may lose his freedom, he chose to take the advice of his friends, and then he moved to Pondi, just for the sake of continuing his work there, and he still continued to do so from Pondi. Yeah.
That's amazing. We like we were discussing earlier, like he was definitely ahead of his time, right? Like
Yeah.
at that time, early 1900s, he was very ahead, and it's amazing to hear. And as mentioned earlier by Archana, Bharathiyar not only focused on independence and freedom fighting, he was also very focused on the overall society, like women's rights, abolishment of caste
Yes.
system, like Rajkumar sir mentioned earlier, and many other issues within the British India at that point. Uh, I remember my grandmother saying a poem called "Inda Neramum Ninmai," in which Bharathiyar talks of women's liberation and speaks about the status that society needs to give to women, whether they're part of a household or whether they're on the outside. But there's one specific thing that I noticed within majority of his poems was that like a common symbol was that there was Bharat Mata in that, and I believe Rajkumar sir mentioned that earlier. And that Bharat Mata shows up a lot in Bharathiyar's poems. So, sir, can you explain a little bit further about the symbolism of Bharat Mata? And like it to me, it seems like Bharathiyar was trying to just basically combine both the importance of independence and women's rights and overall society. Could you explain more on that, please?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. See, as I told you, he found out that the society was at a low ebb because of the caste differences. So he had to educate them that all people were equal. He fought at different levels of freedom. Okay. Then he had to fight for the upliftment of the downtrodden. He sang in his song, I don't know if you have heard, Vidudalai, 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 Parayarukkum Inga Tiyar Pulayarukkum Vidudalai, Paravarodu Puravarukkum Baravarukkum Vidudalai. There were so many castes, Parayas, Kauravas, Tiyas. Therefore, all these people have to be liberated. And then he says, Madatammai Madamai Kulutuvom. மாதர் தம்மை இழிவு செய்யும் மரமையை கொளுத்துவோம், வைய வாழ்வு தன்னில் எந்த வகையிலும் நமக்குள்ளே தாதர் என்ற நிலைமை மாறி ஆண்களோடு பெண்களும் சரிநிகர் சமானமாக வாழ்வோம் இந்த நாட்டிலே. We will abolish the state where the woman is a slave and the man is a boss. We will just abolish that and see to it that man and woman are having the same status. He practiced it even in his own home, his own house, his own family. He had two daughters, Tangamal Bharati and Sakuntala Bharati. Even though they were girl children, he has even taught his daughters, sword fighting and other things which only men used to do. See, he was one person, and there was an important incident when he went to meet Sister Nivedita, who was the adopted daughter of Swami Vivekananda. She is known to be Manasa Putri of Vivekananda. Bharati went to a Congress meeting in the north, and on his way, he had to go to Dum Dum and then happened to go and meet Nivedita Devi. Then he thought, first he said, after all, she's an English lady. What would she know about Indian freedom? But he was surprised that she was a lady with an open mind, very much deserving to be the daughter of Vivekananda. And then she asked him, are you married? Then Bharati says, yes. Then why didn't you bring your wife along? And he says, in our tradition, we don't take our wives along wherever we go. Also, this is a Congress meeting. What is she going to do in that meeting? And Nivedita says, no, you should not say like that. If you people don't give value to your wives, respective wives, how will the nation understand the importance of women? Bharati says it was a turning point in his life. It was an eye-opener. From that day on, he considered his wife as Parashakti. Kadal seyyum manaviye shakti kandir. He says, therefore, this has been preaching all along. You should always never put down the woman. All, and then don't talk. This is a and belongs to a higher caste. This fellow belongs to a lower caste. Thing like that. He has dealt it in so many songs. Where I told you, very lay. Tamil Magal Solli Amudam, a great Tamil poetess, Ovaya. She said,
Hello, Rajkumar sir, can you hear us? I think his video or audio may be frozen again.
It froze.
But you know what? Because actually, I'm happy that Rajkumar sir brought up Parashakti, because I'd actually like to present a short dance piece on this Shakti or Devi symbolism. I'd like to present a song, Taga 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 Endra Domo, Shiva Shakti, Shakti Endra Padomo, which is a song on Shiva Shakti. And basically the song is saying that Devi resides in all of us and we should take refuge in her so she can purify and enrich our lives. And as we enter this cleansing fire, a lifetime of bliss awaits us. And hopefully when Rajkumar sir comes back, we can talk a little bit more about the symbolism. But give me a second to set it up.
சிவசக்தி அகத்தகத்தகத்தினிலே உள் நின்றாள் அவள் அம்மை அம்மை எம்மை நாடு போய் வென்றாள் அகத்தகத்தகத்தினிலே உள் நின்றாள் அவள் அம்மை அம்மை எம்மை நாடு போய் வென்றாள் தகத்தக நமக்கருள் புரிவாள் தாழ்வொன்றே சரணம் என்று வாழ்ந்திடுவோம் நாம் இன்றே தகத்தக நமக்கருள் புரிவாள் தாழ்வொன்றே சரணம் என்று வாழ்ந்திடுவோம் நாம் இன்றே தக 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 வென்றாளோ சிவசக்தி புக 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 வின்பமடா போதெல்லாம் புறத்தினிலே தள்ளிடுவார் தூதெல்லாம் புக 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 வின்பமடா போதெல்லாம் புறத்தினிலே தள்ளிடுவார் தூதெல்லாம் புகைக்குள்ளங்கு இருக்குதடா தீ போலே அது குழந்தையதன் தாயடி கீழ்சே போலே புகைக்குள்ளங்கே இருக்குதடா தீ போலே அது குழந்தையதன் தாயடி கீழ்சே போலே தக 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 வென்றாடோமோ சிவசக்தி மிகத்தகை படுகளியினிலே மெய்சோர உளவீரம் வந்து சோர்வை வென்று கை தேர மிகத்தகை படுகளியினிலே மெய்சோர உளவீரம் வந்து சோர்வை வென்று கை தேர ஜகத்தில் உள்ள மனிதரெல்லாம் நன்று நன்றென நாம் சதிருடனே காலம் இசை ஒன்றென ஜகத்தில் உள்ள மனிதரெல்லாம் நன்று நன்றென நாம் சதிருடனே காலம் இசை ஒன்றென தக 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 வென்றாடோ சிவசக்தி சக்தி சக்தி என்று பாடோமோ தக 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 வென்றாடோமோ சிவசக்தி சக்தி சக்தி என்று பாடோமோ தக 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 வென்றாடோமோ தக 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 வென்றாடோமோ தக 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 வென்றாடோமோ சிவசக்தி
That was amazing, Archana. That was very well performed, and I really like that. I don't know if other people noticed or paid attention because they're probably watching you dance amazingly. There is that you have your fireplace or the fire is turned on in the background, and that gives that like Shakti type of vibe going on. Were you trying to do that?
Yes, that was on purpose.
Rajkumar sir, I have a going off of just dance to a Shakti poem. Are there any interesting anecdotes or stories relating to
Yeah, I saw that. I saw.
do you have any interesting anecdotes or stories relating to like these Shakti poems?
Uh, there are not much anecdotes related to that, but he was Shakti Dasa and had a vision of Shakti. And they used to say he was a Shakti Upasaka. Therefore, I don't have any anecdotes as it is to say about songs on Shakti.
Could you explain a little bit of the Sahitya meaning and the symbolism that Shakti symbolism?
Yes. Actually, this is a very highly philosophical song. The song, Taka 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 Takaven Radomo, Shiva Shakti 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 என்று பாடோமோ அகத்தகத்தகத்தினிலே உள் நின்றால், that is, she dwells in the innermost core of my being. Okay, she dwells in the innermost core of my being. அவள் அம்மை அம்மை எம்மை நாடு போய் வென்றாள். She is mother. That mother, whatever falsity is going to come to me, she will quell all those falsities. எம்மை நாடு போய் வென்றாள். And then தக தக நமக்கு அருள் புரிவாள். The more capable you become according to your capacity, according to the level of your capability, she will give you her grace. See, the grace is already available in abundance, but you should be qualified to receive such grace, isn't it? Therefore, taga taga நமக்கு அருள் புரிவாள் தாளொன்றே சரணமென்றே வாழ்ந்திடுவோம் நாம் என்றே. And he says, last stanza, இந்திரனார் உலகினிலே நல்லின்பம். They say in the world of Indra, in heaven, they say it's a beautiful world, full of joy and beauty. இருக்குதென்பார் அதனை இங்கே கொண்டெய்தி. Let us bring that kingdom of heaven here and now to this earth. Okay. மந்திரம் போல் வேண்டுமடா சொல்லின்பம் நல்ல மதமுறவே அமுதநிலை கண்டெய்தி, he says. And then before, in the previous stanza, he says, மிக தகைப்படு களியினிலே மெய் சோர. I'm in a state of extreme ecstasy, having danced, and so my physique has got a bit tired, fatigued. உல வீரம் வந்து சோர்வை வென்று கை தேர. But my strength, internal strength, is such that I get back my vigor. ஜகத்தினில் உள்ள மனிதரெல்லாம் நன்று நன்றன, நாம் சதிருடனே தாளமிசை இரண்டும் ஒன்றன. Sadir is the name for dance. Okay, Talam, rhythm and music. We will dance together so that all the people in the world will say, what a beautiful dance it is. ஜகத்தினில் உள்ள மனிதரெல்லாம் நன்று நன்றன, நாம் சதிருடனே, we will dance, keeping in mind the tala and the song, tala and the lyrics. That's what the song says. It's about the internal freedom. You see, the Bharatiya is sung for the freedom of all sorts, beginning from the outer, and then he ends it in the inner freedom of mankind. That was the type of poet he was. Yeah.
Wow, that's a really, I just took a philosophy lesson. Thank you, Rajkumar, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, actually, philosophy is kind of what we wanted to talk about next. So, we all know, I think Bharathiyar sir a certain way.
May I interrupt for a while? Sorry. I'm suddenly reminded of something.
Please do.
Sorry for interruption. See, when Bharati's second daughter was Shakuntala Bharati, when she was a child, one day she got very ill. Okay, the fever was very high, and then they were doing so many things. The fever couldn't be brought down, So the people at home were slowly getting worried, getting tensed up about the situation. Then the child even started blabbering because of the high temperature. It started blabbering. There was no clarity in the words. Then Bharati got so scared. Then he went and told Parashakti, if my bhakti is true, you have to save this child. If you cannot save this child, the whole aspect of devotion is a falsity. Then he got, and he wrote a song about bhakti. Bhakti inale, the parinil age mainmegal keladi. I was suddenly remembered because he wanted an anecdote. I was suddenly remembered this incident. So I wanted to share with you. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you for including that. That was very nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, I actually you've spoken so beautifully, Rajkumar, sir.
Yeah.
I don't feel like going on anymore. I don't know I could say anything better, but just to move the topic forward a little bit. So I feel like Bharathiyar wrote in a time pre-partition India. So Hindu-Muslim relations were very different from what they are now, or even during partition.
Yeah.
And he has written a couple of poems on, Allah and Jesus. And I was wondering if you could talk about these poems and mention the philosophy behind them.
Exactly. Yeah. So as I told you, Bharati was an Advaiti. Okay. Advaita means he believed the God was one, but it had two forms. Okay. Two becomes one. But for people to understand, you need two people to understand that there is only one thing. Therefore, he always used to say, even in his Ati Chudi, it is a beautiful line. Ati Chudi, when that means Ati Ilampiri.
It looks like he's breaking up again. We'll give him a couple of minutes. I think he'll come back. Archana, were you able to grasp a little? I think for me, it started like breaking up like right when he started talking. Were you able to like grasp anything? I think you're also on mute too.
I'm not so. I'm not a native Tamil speaker. I'm a native Kannadigal. So the Sahitya portion, I'm learning a lot about, the actual words. But for me, like learning about, I guess, hearing that, it is pretty apparent, but knowing that Bhartiyar was like an Advaitic and basically focused on unity throughout his whole mission and focused on like working on the common man, I feel like there's a lot of parallels that people can relate to. Like that's kind of what Buddha did. Like in a time of ritualism when there was a lot of division, he took the central message that's, the same in Hinduism, Buddhism, that message of unity, and he spread it to the common man. So
same with like Adi Shankara too, right? He also did the same thing. And it looks like Rajkumar sir is back. So
yeah.
I'm very sorry. I mean, we had a lot of storm and other things here.
Oh
Therefore,
no. It's okay, sir. It's an adventure.
Too much, because just the city is just recovering from a bout of a storm and rains. Therefore, the supplies are all disturbed. But regarding the song on Muslim, on Allah, I wanted to tell you, while he was in Kadayam, people from a nearby village called Pottal Pudur came and invited Bharati to give a lecture on Allah. They wanted to give a lecture on Allah. And all the Brahmins in the village were terribly irritated by this. They said, how could Bharati do this? But Bharati composed this song. Allah, 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 Allah. And he went and gave a lecture in Uttalpudur on the greatness of Allah. To him, everybody was the same, as I told you. Allah is the same. Mahakavi Nabikku Marayorul Purindon, Yesuvin Tandai. என பல மதத்தினர் உருவகத்தாலே உணர்ந்துணராது பல வகையாக பரவிடும் பரம்பொருள் ஒன்றே. There is only one being. The whole universe is being sustained by that being only. So that was his religion. Oneness was his religion, actually.
Wow. Sir, quick thing. I think when you were speaking about Atichudi, you were, I think you kind of got cut off a little bit because of...
Yeah.
Could you explain that?
Yeah, there he says, Atishudi, Ilampariyanendu, Monathirukkum Muduvenmeniyan. The one who is wearing the Ati flower and is wearing the crescent moon and who is having the ashes smeared all over his body is Shiva. Okay. Karniran kondu Parkadal Misai Kedapon. Then there is Vishnu, who is black-hued and who is reclining on the ocean of milk. The one who gave grace to Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, Yesuvin Tandai, and who is the father of Jesus. In a Palamadattiner, Uruvagattale Unarndunaradu. They are not able to grasp the idea that they are all the same. Palavagayaga Paravidum Parambul Undre. Adaniel Odidurum Arivam. He has always been saying that there is only one being, and its quality is consciousness, awareness. Just pure consciousness, which is awareness. So that was his motto, that was his life, I would say. That was his message throughout his life. Oneness.
So if because this was like pre-partition, was there any like we mentioned earlier, like I think Archana asked about like consequences about like his views. So because this was pre-partition and like there was still tension, were there any consequences? Were people upset with him that he was writing poems about Allah moment or Allah and Hinduism, everything, like saying it's one? Like we all believe that it is one, but
Actually,
at that time it was
yeah, you should date back to some more than 100 years, and in a village where casteism was at its high. Therefore, naturally, he was an outcast. The local Brahmins were not happy with what he did. They thought he was doing things that were not right, that were beyond the stipulated conditions of being a Brahmin. Therefore, they always found a way to somehow keep him out of the society. It was a struggle all the way. It was a struggle for him. Either a financial struggle or struggle with his own family people, or not with his family people, with his own kith and kin, people who lived in the same village. He had always to fight with them because they could not understand, they could not grasp the importance or the greatness behind his ideas and ideologies.
Yeah, Abhishek, you said that that was a different time, but the more we're conversing, the more I realize how applicable this is to our time, right?
This is literally like it's very applicable to today.
Even people that are Advaitins today, like for everyone, it's very hard to grasp the idea that everything and everyone is the same, because we all because of our traditions that we feel make us up, we feel that that's who we are. We tend to to even very tiny level subconsciously still associate with that. And it's very hard to really stick by the idea of unity, that everyone's one. So, the more we're talking, the more I realize that this is a very applicable message to right now.
Yeah. So Bharathiyar was a master of many different arts and most well known for his literary arts. But as we know, he was also a very musical person as well, often setting his poetry to melodious tunes whenever he presented them. So can you talk about like his musical background and if he had any training growing up on music?
I'll tell you. See, in those days, Carnatic music was in every house. It is a household practice to take up Carnatic music. Either the ladies will be learning to sing, or some men will be learning to sing. And so, music, I think it naturally, there is no particular mention about his proper training and other things. There was no time for all those things. But he had a very good knowledge in Carnatic music. The beauty about his compositions is when he set tunes to his song, he knew very well about Carnatic music. I want to say here, he has written a beautiful article called Sangeeta Vishayam. Okay, he has dealt with music in a very elaborate manner. And he has handled very good ragas like Kambodi, Kalyani, Natakuranji, Dhanyasi, Kapi, so many beautiful ragas. But his intention was all the people should be able to sing his songs. That was his motive. That is why when he set a tune to his song, for instance, I will say, Engal Bharata Nadu, Gyanatile Paramonatile, Uyar Manatile, Annadanatile, Ganatile, Amuraga Nirenda, Kavidayile, Uyar Nadu. The same can be sung, Parukule Nalla Nadu, can be sung. But his motive was to make everyone sing. Everyone should be able to sing. Therefore, all his tunes were very, very simple. And he had such beautiful knowledge about music in his Sangeeta Vishayam. He says how people should give value to lyrics. How they should have a lot of knowledge about language. How they should have talam. He says, talam, 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 talam. Talatirkyo talayundayin kulam, kulam, kulam. If there is no rhythm, it is finished. It is just rubbish. He says. Therefore, he was a very highly knowledgeable person in music. And I was told, I heard from my family people that he used to sing very well. Whenever he sang and showed his songs to his wife, you know something? Whenever he wrote a song, he used to go and show his wife, Chalama, I got a song. I'll sing it for you. He'll first sing it to his wife, and then the children will learn, the children, wife, and everybody, they will all sing together. And then there will be so many people come to the house, so many disciples, so many devotees, so many followers. They all used to join together and sing all his songs. All his songs had a very common appeal, very simple tunes. But he was very well versed in Carnatic music.
Was there like a specific deity? I know you had mentioned like Shakti he had a vision of Shakti. Was there like any other deity? I know a lot of poems that I've heard like Kaile Puli Padanna Kanna Peramane, which is about and there's many more.
Yes.
Kannanyan Sevakan and many others. So is there like a specific like was he like a big Krishna devotee, or was he just like was there?
Yeah, of course. See, he had an ardent devotee called Kovala Krishnamacharya in Pondi. That Kovala Krishnan was a great Vaishnavite. Therefore, through Kovala Krishnan, Bharati came to know about the Nalayira Divya Prabandham, the Nalayiram, the 4,000 songs, hymns in praise of Vishnu. This made him develop a great Vishnu. As a result, he composed these songs on Kannan. They are called Kannan Padalgal. There are 24 of them. Kannanan Thai, Kannanan Tande, Kannanan Sevagan, Kannanan Namban, Kannanan Kadali, Kannanan Korande, Kannama. So many, all forms, all sorts of characters you meet in life. He has taken them as Kannanan sung. Therefore, he had a special liking for Kanna. He was a great Shakti Upasaka. And he has sung on all deities, on Muruga, on Ganapati, on all deities, on Christ, on Allah. And in one of his songs he says, don't you know, even though there are 1,000 gods, there is only one God. Don't you know that? He says that. பல்லாயிரம் தெய்வங்கள் உண்டென்று தேடி அலையும் அறிவிலிகள் பல்லாயிரம் வேதங்கள் அறிவொன்றே தெய்வம் என்று கேளீரோ. Don't you know? The Vedas say there is only one God. There is only one superpower. That is awareness. So he was a man who understood everything. He was a staunch Advaiti because he could be in duality and yet emerge into oneness also. That was his greatness.
Wow. Actually, since now you mentioned Muruga, I know it's this month is it's a very important month as this was Kartika Masam, and I'm pretty sure many of us we're celebrating that. So I'd actually like to present one of Bharathiyar's poems. It's Muruga Muruga.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Tarin aran tararin narananarin aran Muruga, 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 Anandano, Tano, Tano, Tanano, Tano, Tano. மயில் மீதினிலே வடிவேலுடனே வருவாய் வருவாய் மயில் மீதினிலே வடிவேலுடனே வருவாய் அருவாய் நலமும் புகழும் தவமும் திறமும் நனமும் கனமும் அருவாய் நலமும் தகவும் புகழும் தவமும் திறமும் தனமும் கனமும் வருவாய் மயில் மீதினிலே வடிவேலுடனே வருவாய் முருக 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 சரி க மரி சதனி சரி க ம பதனி மப சானி பம க மரி சனி சரி சனி பம க மரி சனி சரி சனி பம க மரி சனி சரி அடியார் பலரின் புலரே அவரை விடுவே தருவாய் அடியார் பலரின் புலரே அவரை விடுவே தருவாய் முடியாமறையின் முடிவே அசுரர் முடிவே கருத்தும் வடிவே அவனே வருவாய் மயில் மீதினிலே வடிவேலுடனே வருவாய் முருகா 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 முருகா. And it was a very small bit of that. The,
Abhishek, you
You
said.
know,
Sorry, go ahead, Rajkumar, sir.
can I say? Yeah, sorry. Thank you. I just wanted to say that this is the beauty of Bharati's song. You see, you can sing it this way. You know how Bharati sang this song, Muruga, Muruga, Muruga.
yeah, please share. I actually wanted to
Yes,
ask you how you sing this. Yeah.
yes, it was. He wrote it in somewhere in 1917. It has come in the Sudeshan Mitran, where he has mentioned the raga as Harikambodi. Okay. Danisa, 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 Sarini, Nisada, Danisa, Sasama, Mama, Gagavari, Muruga, 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 வருவாய் மயில் மீதினிலே வடிவேலுடனே வருவாய் தருவாய் நலமும் தகவும் புகழும் தவமும் திறமும் தனமும் கனமும் முருகா முருகா முருகா. Just for you to know, I have an idea that so that everyone can sing along. But the beauty is Muruga, Muruga, Muruga. You can sing that way also. Muruga, Muruga, at your son. It gives ample scope to be rendered in different genres, different styles.
It sounds like two different.
Out of my curiosity, I told you.
We actually have a question from one of the live audience members. Someone was asking that there's a poem written by Bharathiyar called Sundara Telunginil Party Sai poem, and they're asking if Bharathiyar could.
Party Sai.
Sorry. They were asking if he could speak Telugu and if he wrote in Telugu or other languages as well.
He was well versed in 8 languages. I was told 8 languages, and Telugu was one of them. He has even commented on the compositions of Tyagaraja, Saint Tyagaraja. He has remarked that Saint Tyagaraja was an ocean of rasas, rasa kadal. He mentions in those days the tune and the lyrics had a relationship. The tune was in accordance with the content of the lyrics. He says, Drishtantamaha, Tyagairin Telilelu Rama Vedutukolungal. Teliyaleru Rama Bhakti Marga Munno. You can immediately understand. Tyagaraja said, I'm not well versed in Bhakti at all. I don't know anything about Bhakti. Bharati was well versed in so many languages, and Telugu was one of them. And this song, Sundara Telugu Party Saitu, Thonigaloti Vilayadi Varum, is about the unification of India. Sindhu Nadi in Misai Nilavinile on a moonlit night on the river of Sindhu River, which is in the north, right? Sindhu Nadi in Misai Nilavinile, Seran and Natchalam Penguladone. I have Kerala girls with me on the boat. Sundara Telugu Party Saitu. We will sing a song in Telugu. So there is Telugu, there is Kerala, there is the northern India. Thonigaloti Vilayadi Varum. The song was based on that, to give a unified India, picture of unified India, how much it meant to the people of India.
That's so beautiful, sir. Well said. So you had touched earlier that when you were referring to that to the Muruga song, Bharathiyar sir wrote like different poems. But I when I was looking online and I was looking through many of Bharathiyar's poems, I've noticed that they were set to each, like different people were setting into different tunes and different ragas. Did Bharathiyar intend to do that? Like I've seen some in folk song beat type. Could you elaborate more on that? Was he saying that anyone can sing any of my poems in any way they would like to?
He was only particular that everyone should be able to should sing his song. That's all. That was his motive. That his song should reach everyone. And as I told you, his tunes were all so simple. He wanted every common man to sing. Therefore, all his tunes were very simple tunes. And he never said you should sing only this tune or that tune because that was not his taste. Even to sing was a big thing. Even to sing a song was a big thing. And there were so many other issues like freedom struggle, life struggle, and so many other things. Therefore, he didn't have time to look into all those things. But eventually, what happened was when a film was made, okay, Naam Iruvar, I think, there was a film that was made by A.V.M. Chettiar where he used all the songs of Bharati. And therefore, since it was being used in a film, somebody had to set tune to the lyrics. That's how the Aduvome, Pallu Paduvome, it came in that film. That song was in that film, used in that film. It became a popular thing. And slowly, people started using Bharatiyar songs and started using them in their own genre. In the sense, whoever was using it in their field. If somebody was using it for dance, they were using it in their own way. Somebody was singing in a concert, they used it in their own way. Somebody was using it for a devotional album, it was in a different way. Like how the Purandardasa compositions and Annamacharya compositions have become now. In one way, it is all right because people get to know more of Bharati songs. And because he did not have a typical set of devotees or disciples to put them on paper, to write them down on paper, this is the notation, this is how you should sing. It was not handed down like that. And since he wanted everyone to sing, this has come to stay now. Like people setting tune to Bharati songs. I'm fine with it, except that whatever song you are taking up, you should do justice to that song. The lyrical content has to be properly interpreted. The sentiment behind the song has to be correctly conveyed. That's all.
That was very, very beautiful. Sir, do you have a specific Bharatiyar poem that you enjoy, like a specific poem?
Or is there like one that's the family favorite or
Yeah,
something?
family favorite.
No. There are many songs. There are so many songs because he has sung patriotic songs. He has sung on deities. He has sung on social justice or any other things. All the songs are our favorites. There are no. You cannot say this is the most favorite song. There is no such discrimination. Whatever song comes to that, for instance, I told you, Muruga, 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 we sing, உலகத்தின் நாயகியே எங்கள் முத்துமாரி அம்மா எங்கள் முத்துமாரி, we sing, பெண்மை வாழ்கின்று கூத்திடுவோமடா பெண்மை வெல்கின்று கூத்திடுவோமடா. On various subjects, there are so many songs. Each is a gem. Therefore, we enjoy all songs.
Very, very well said, sir. From my understanding, Bharatiyar often wrote in a very specific Tamil poetic form, right? Can you tell a little bit more about this stylistic approach that he took? And was there a specific reason he like used this type of format? Was it like more well suited for music? Like that's as an example. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. Actually, he was a highly qualified poet who could write the strict grammar, right? There are so many songs that have been written to proper Tamil literature grammar. And he has composed songs that even belong to the classical style, like the Kalippa, Venba, Agaval, all those formats. But one interesting thing is, he chose to write what he called as Vachana Kavita. That is prosaic poetry. The content will be poetic, but the rendition will be in prose form. பாம்பப்பிடாரன் குழலூதுகின்றான் குழலேசை பிறந்ததா துளையிலே பிறந்ததா உச்சிலே பிறந்ததா. It's a beautiful song. He has written quite a number of songs using this Vachana Kavita prosaic poetry format. He has talked about the 5 elements: tea, kaatru, and kadal, okay, and all these songs, Pamapidaran, all these songs, Shakti, all these compilations, they're called the Vachana Kavita. I think it was the first one to introduce this sort of format, which I think was later was adapted and followed by many people to come. The later generation took it up and they made him a model poet so that they can follow his footsteps. Vachana Kavita was a special compilation, I would say.
Well, thank you, sir. So I don't mean to. I know I just asked about Tamil poetry, but I did notice that you have Sri Sai Sai Baba's picture behind you, and Bharathiyar was a unity of faith. He was big on unity of faith, right, as we mentioned earlier. And I myself am a Malvika student, like for the last pretty much my whole life, and will always be one. Did you perform in front of Swami? Because I see there's a picture of Swami hugging you. If I can see that.
Yeah.
And did you ever perform Bharathiyar's poems to him?
This all happened some 10 years back during his 85th birthday, I would say, where he was that was his last birthday in his physical form. It so happened that I was asked to compose songs for the birthday, Swami's birthday, and it was called Prema Pravaha. Swami had planned that only students should sing all the 5 songs, and due to an act of providence or Swami's grace, it so happened that I had to set music for that. And it happened on November 23rd, 10 years back, 2010. Then I was there at that time. I couldn't get to sing in his presence because I didn't have that opportunity. But in 2010, when I went, I had lost my voice to sing. Therefore, I didn't give a performance, and I had become a full-time composer. And the students sang this song, all the 5 songs, in praise of Swami. There will be a video where they showed the life history of Swami. It was a -1 track, and the students sang those songs. And at the end of the show, they took me to Swami, and gave a small lotus flower to me and said, "Offer this to Bhagavan." And they offered this to Swami, and they said, "Swami, this is Rajkumar Bharati." Then he asked, "Gunte Lagavundi," he said. I couldn't make it out because he was not audible. It was only like a video. So I couldn't make it out. I said, "Swami," then he said, "Why is it Lagundi?" He asked me, "Why is it Lagundi?" He said. I said, "Swami, I'm not able to sing." And then he said something. But then he put the lotus down and said, "Bend and take it." And he blessed me. So I was in his physical presence for about a couple of minutes. But it was a great moment. I could sense I was in a great field. I could sense that. It was a very serene and a very highly, very pure, uncorrupt field. I have had that blessing of being in his presence. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
So we're going to kind of work towards the end of the program. So we have a couple more themes of questions to ask you, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. But so I just wanted to talk a little bit about art and activism, because
Ah,
Bhartiyar, they were kind of the same thing. His art was all about spreading his unique message, and other people considered that activism. I know
yeah.
today, I think it's taken a lot, maybe not more, but it's always seen as something controversial. For example, there's the controversial figure right now, T.M. Krishna, who is promoting this kind of interfaith unity. Many people have very varying opinions about what he's doing. I guess my question is, and I'm sure the same was for Bhartiyar, everyone had something to say about it, whether it's right or wrong or something like that. I guess my question is there some sort of boundary or line, like this is where tradition ends and this is where what we should be doing is, and you can't cross this line? Or is it kind of all of a gray area where it's up to the person and people take it how they take it?
Actually, there is no demarcation. There is nobody has drawn a line anywhere. This is a limit up to which you can go. You should not cross, because each generation has a different line, right? What was a line or a boundary 100 years ago or 50, it was changed 50 years when it was 50 years old. From 50 to 25, there was another change. What we should have as our line of control is, whatever we are doing, is this going to bring about a change for the good, right? Whatever that you are embarking on, is it going to bring about a change for the good? Is it a positive change? Is it going to make us move forward and upwards? Number two, you should not dilute any existing ideas that are worthy. Suppose there are there are practices which have been carried forward for generations together. If something is worthy, let us not dilute it. You can modify it. See, you can always modify it to become a better thing. Do not dilute it. Don't indulge in too much of criticism. See, evolution is that somebody does something and then the person who is following takes it to another level. Therefore, the boundary is here. Are we traveling the right direction? Suppose we change the mode of our singing, the format of our singing or presentation of our concert. Has it improved the taste of the audience? See, we have a balance, right? We know what the quality of the art was. Whether the art is still in the same quality, is it moving up, or this action has brought it down? That we should have a check. That's all. Never kill the taste, modify it, be very watchful and moving forward. Is my advice.
Very well spoken. You've spoken that so beautifully and easy to follow. Just a quick follow-up question on that. Is there any way that you would give us advice on how to kind of take the spirit of Bhartiyar and apply it to our lives? If you could give us some advice.
Exactly. One thing about Bharati is, he is relevant even now. He was relevant 100 years back and he is relevant even now. So that raises a question in my mind. Does it mean that we have not evolved at all? You see, what I find is we are still divided, very divided. Upper, lower, he should not do, I should not do. I am superior, you are inferior. I think from Bharati we should learn this aspect of love. You know how much is talked about love? Anbundre, Anbirchiranda Tavamila, he says, love is the greatest penance on earth. Love is the greatest penance. Anbine Kaikul and Ban, Tumbam Attanayum Apur Tirdiram and Ban. Love is the remedy available. Why are you fighting? If love is there, all your conflicts, all your quarrels can be sorted out. Why not we learn that love that Bharati talks? Why not we share our love with one another? Why not our share our care and well-being to one another. Why not we quell this division and all keep reminding all of us that we are all same, that we are all part of the whole being. Let us live in harmony. Why not use art to bring harmony, to bring people together, whether it is music, whether it is singing or dance or anything, or sports, whatever we do. Let us be united together. It is very applicable in this pandemic situation, right? We all stand together against the pandemic for humankind and to take the human beings forward. That's what we should learn from Bharati. Love, togetherness, oneness, equality.
Savash, that was so nicely said. I would love to just sit here and absorb that. But due to time, I'm going to mention a couple of questions from the audience. We may not be able to say all of them, but one question is, in total, how many poems did Bharathiyar write?
More than 700 poems, I think. I don't have a statistics with me. More than 750 songs he has written.
Okay. And then another question is, if you, Rajkumar sir, have a plan to compose his prose works in Ghanaragas like Pancharatnas?
I don't choose the ragas first and then the lyrics. Whatever the lyrics says, the tune comes out like that. I have set many Bharatiya songs to dance ballets in very classical ragas. I set them to dance productions in simple tunes, in light tunes. I use Bharati's lyrics for tilanas. I have sung Bharati songs as the main items in my concert days. During my concert days, I have given new compositions. New compositions means lesser known compositions of Bharati. I have taken up lesser known compositions of Bharati and sung them as main compositions in a concert. Once I gave a full 2.5, 3 hour full-fledged concert of Bharati songs, wherein I even used a Ragam Tanam Pallavi. And I think during 1997, the 50th year of Indian independence, I was invited to sing in Canada, where I think I sang a Pallavi, Ragam Tanam Pallavi, taking Bharati's lines. Therefore, it can be said, not it cannot be. As the situation may warrant, whatever it warrants, you do that accordingly.
I'll ask 2 more questions. One question is, will Rajkumar sir consider writing a musical on the life of Bharathiyar, not just using his lyrics, but about him to inspire the next generation? Sort of like how I mentioned on Alexander Hamilton in the very beginning of the performance. That actually popularized him a lot. So that's the question.
Why not? Why not? Sure.
You heard it here. Rajkumar sir is writing a musical. And then,
my son Niranjan Bharati is a poet himself. He's a very good lyricist. And I have a daughter who is studying a PhD in Cornell in the US. I can even make my son write the lyrics and do the music and offer it to public.
All right, everyone heard it right here.
And then, before I hand it to Abhishek to end us off, just kind of an overarching question about the legacy of Bharathiyar. So we talked about the legacy of Bharathiyar being, this message of love. But when it comes to kind of getting the word out there, you're giving these talks, sir, and they're very helpful. I'm sure so many people learned so much that they didn't know before. I know I did. But is there like some sort of, plan about maybe making his works available to a wider audience, maybe non-Tamil speaking audiences, or maybe are there books that you can recommend for our generation? Because I think we could all learn a lot more about Bharathiyar.
Actually, there are so many people, great devotees of Bharati, who are carrying on the legacy, poets and devotees of Bharati. There are so many ardent lovers. They every year they celebrate his birthday, December 11th, and then the Remembrance Day on September 12th. And it's being handed down to generations. It's not that one generation only was doing this. The succeeding generations seem to take it up as their prime duty. It is their task of spreading the message of Bharati, and they're doing it on a large scale. There is a organization called Vanavil here in Chennai. They are conducting worldwide seminars, worldwide symposiums, inviting papers on Bharati, inviting all poets all over the world to come and take part in international seminars. And most of his works are available in many languages. So many books, so many of his poems have been translated in English and a few other languages too. I was told even in Russian they have translated his poems in Russian language as well. Therefore, this will happen by itself, Archana. We needn't worry about this because creation takes care of all these things. Because creation would give us a Bharati, therefore it is the responsibility of creation to spread his message, spread his fame, so that people are able to just grasp and imbibe the spirit with which he wrote, the oneness with which he showed us he can live a life like that, which will all bring all mankind together and lead a life of harmony. It will definitely happen. Nothing to worry about.
Thank you so much, sir. And I think the one thing that we can all take from today and from what you shared with us is that the universal love that we should have for everyone, because we're all one, and that's what Bharathiyar was preaching. And I definitely will take that, and I'm pretty sure future generations will also take that and believe that. So thank you so much, Rajkumar sir, for your time today. I know there was a little technical difficulties in the middle due to like the storms and everything. And also it's late night in India. So thank you so much for sharing these stories and being a part of this. We had so much, I know Archana and myself had so much fun talking to you. And fun fact, we learned so much from yourself. And even when we were trying to research about Bharathiyar, we learned so much about him that we personally never knew. So it was very fun. And for that, I'd like to thank IFA for the wonderful opportunity for giving Archana and for Archana and myself and giving us programs like this that we can showcase and talk about artists like Bharathiyar sir. And I'd like to hand it over to Nani Uncle now.
Let me also express my sincere gratitude to Nani, Ishwara, Harini, and Actual Vibes, and all those in the Indian fine arts. And my special appreciation of Archana and Abhishek for their wonderful method in which they conducted the show. I hope I could do the best, whatever I was supposed to do. And I apologize for the technical breaks beyond my control. And I thoroughly enjoyed being with you. Thank you once again.
No, we had so much fun. Rajkumar sir, we had very high expectations and you surpassed all of them. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, all of you. I'm Nani. I'm actually on behalf of in Indian Fine Arts, and I have to congratulate both the kiddos for running the show. Like one of my good friends have posted on Facebook. This topic was so dear to the Mother Nature, so much that we saw the effect of storms. And the limitations of our advanced communications technology are clearly seen here. But Archana and Abhishek, they actually engaged the audience during the time when Rajkumar's Bharati sir was actually offline. But I got to personally learn a lot about Bharatiyar himself. And all of us, at least my generation, they probably grew up in India listening to their parents and grandparents reciting the poems of Bharathiyar, but the insights into it are not as much well known. And this today's program actually threw a lot of light and shining light into that area. And thank you so much. And we are just simply honored to have you, Rajkumar sir, to be present here. And thank you all for joining the Virtual Voice brought to you by Indian Fine Arts Academy of DFW. During this pandemic, all of us learned to reinvent ourselves as artists and as rasikas. This is one of the finest examples as literature and poetry it surpasses how the rasikas appreciate music in general, right? So as you may have figured out, the panelists who articulated very beautifully today are two of the finest talents in Indian classical music and dance from Dallas. Archana is a dancer and a trained Carnatic vocalist as well, while Abhishek is a wonderful Carnatic vocalist, as we have seen in both regular performers that we always appreciate what they do and how they carry on this beyond the high school. And Archana is in college, and Abhishek is actually working beyond college, and they continue their passion. That's the reason why they are here. And we are really honored to have the great grandson of legendary Tamil poet Mahakavi Subramania Bharati, Dr. Rajkumar Bharati himself, talking about the great poet and his legacy and the legacy of universal love. And obviously, in between, we have been transported to Chennai to feel the effect of storm. Virtual Vibes features some of the performing artists and those who are trained outside India, and an opportunity for many of us to learn how they understand, imbibe the arts. We have this wonderful performing arts who give us insights into how they interpret their learning of the arts. This is not a platform to just perform, but a platform to interact with each other and share with us their knowledge. So this is an opportunity for many of the teachers and parents to see how these kids can approach teaching Indian classical arts for the students outside India. It's also a learning experience for many of us Rasikas. There's an ocean of learning in our classical arts if they can provide the right environment for these kids. We'd love to see more such musicians and dancers show their passion and inspired many more to pursue that passion outside India too. We're getting a lot of requests from many of our IFA followers to take part in Virtual Vibes, and this is our final session for the year 2020. We are excited to have our new IFA committee and continue to bring our next Virtual Vibe session in the new year. Please stay tuned to our announcements with another set of artists. On behalf of the Indian Fine Arts Academy, I would like to wish all our patrons and ardent supporters a happy, safe, and healthy holidays. Please stay tuned to all our activities, like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and become members of our vast Indian classical music and dance community in the Dallas area. Thank you all for tuning in today, and look forward to all your support for Indian Fine Arts Academy and all our future events. Please do sign up for our membership and for our organization, and we are bringing many more events in the future. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you.